rise for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And that, thanks. Welcome to the June board meeting. Now, we always start out tonight with recognizing the employee of the month. And the employee of the month this month is Butch Miller, who's a highway department employee. He's a tree trimmer. And I was recognized here by Paul as a supervisor. And he said he's done a very efficient job of taking down dead pine trees at the helipad and Dune Beach and clearing a lot. And he's a guy who steps up and helps out. And everybody was very happy to be able to award him the Employee of the Month. So I want to congratulate Butch on behalf of the village board and thank him for the job that he's done. So thanks, Butch. We've got public comment. You have 3 minutes to address the board. We have a few people who have signed up, and then after that I'll recognize someone else. So, Kristen. Thanks.
Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Can you guys hear me back there?
Just identify yourself for the record there.
My name is Kristen White, and my address is 487 North Main Street in Southampton, New York. I'm going to refer to my notes. I apologize. I just had a baby, and that prevents you from remembering words and thoughts for a little while. Also makes you a little emotional, so forgive me if I get emotional. As I stated, my name is Kristen White. I am a representative of the Southampton Association for Beach Access, which is also known as SABA. I was born and raised in Southampton. 3 out of the 4 of my grandparents are direct descendants of the first white settlers who arrived in Southampton in 1640. But I do not live in the village of Southampton. I am not a taxpayer, nor can I vote in your village elections. But my family and I make many important contributions to your village center. I am a ruling elder of the First Presbyterian Church, which is recognized as the oldest Presbyterian church in America. I shop for my groceries at Stop and Shop. I buy gifts for my family and my friends at Lynch's. I get my pizza from Paul's or La Parme. My boys go to Ralph's to get their hair cut. I get my prescriptions filled by Mr. Grisnick. For my home needs, I go to Herrick's, Hildreth's, or Riverhead Building Supply. I buy my adult beverages at Lamplighter or Wrists. When I'm ordering takeout, I call Fellingham's or the Public House. And when I grab a cup of coffee after I've dropped my son off at school or on my way to work, I stop at Sean's, Ted's, Schmidt's, or Tate's. I patronize these businesses not only because they are owned and operated by local families, but also because they are the first to make donations when the Boy Scouts or a local church is in need of fundraising. They support our youth, our hungry, our homeless, and any family that finds themselves affected by tragedy in our community. They are a huge part of what makes this community great, and so I support them year-round. The point is that I and many others, although not through property tax revenue, make extremely important contributions to the economy of Southampton Village. A village that in one generation has found its year-round residents almost completely priced out of it, leaving us little or no voice in its representation. It has come to my attention that the village trustees are involved in a lawsuit pertaining to the beach access at the west end of Meadow Lane, the area known as the picnic area, bordered by Road F to the east and the county park line to the west. In the lawsuit, several parties are named: the village trustees, the town trustees, the DEC, and reference to a John Doe, which I have been led to understand represents the residents that hold 4x4 permits from the village or the town. Only a percentage of the 4x4 permit holders routinely use the portion of the beach in question, but we have all been referenced in this suit with no notice and no representation. My concern is what, if anything, has this board done to protect the rights of their 4x4 permit holders in this case? Why has the public not been made aware of discussions and proceedings pertaining to these litigations? Are we being represented by a council whose primary concern is our stake in this matter? And has this board done everything possible to resolve the issues addressed by the complainant? I want to work with you. My feeling is we as permit holders want to work with you. We would like to sit down with all parties involved to discuss a resolution. Use us. Please use your community's best resources, its people, to find a solution. If we continue to be kept in the dark, we have no option but to assume our best interests are not being looked out for, and that you, our elected officials, are not doing your due diligence in representing all of your constituents. We are being priced out of homes, pushed off our beaches, and we are losing the community that we love, the community that many of our forefathers spent generations building. Without us, we will become a community with no heart, no soul, and when that happens, we will cease to become a community at all, and everything that makes Southampton great will forever be lost. When it comes to defending this lawsuit, when it comes to making those tough decisions, to fight, to negotiate, to compromise, I urge you, I implore you, I beg of you, please do the right thing. And think of all of us that make this community something to be proud of. Thank you.
Brenda Simmons.
Brenda Simmons, 167 Miller Road, Southampton, New York. Interesting, she just read that. I'm reading this tonight. In light of recent events, including the unfortunate destroying and tearing down of the legacy of Pierce Concert Homestead, I trust that this board and the future leadership of this beautiful village of Southampton be inclusive in making positive and key decisions regarding SAM, the Southampton African American Museum, and the Pierce Concert Project that will assist the village of Southampton, its residents, new and old, as well as visitors from all around the world, celebrate, educate, appreciate, and enlighten, echoing that we are a village that are intolerant of racism and discrimination, and that we will help to solidify specifically the African Americans played a significant and important part in the history of this village, New York, and the entire country. We belong, we are here. Thank you.
Ellen Conrad.
Good evening. Evelyn Conrad, 18 South Roscoe Drive, Southampton. I was going to say New York. Unlike the first speaker, I'm not pregnant, and I haven't just given birth, but I had a memory failure today, which I have about once every 2 years. This, by the way, is a non-political statement. All right, relax. I locked myself out of my house. I've already thanked the chief. I have never seen police officers who are nicer, more helpful than the ones we have in this village. They're really extraordinary. A neighbor gave me a lift to the police station because I locked in my key and my house key and my car key. A nice young officer, and I do want you to know his name, because I understand he just got a law degree from Truro, by the way. He didn't tell me, the chief did. His name is Eddie McIntyre. He came out to ask me what was the matter. I said I did a stupid thing, I locked myself out. He said I have to go in and check with my boss, which was the correct thing to do. He did, he came out, gave me a lift back, opened the house for me. But the remarkable thing was that he didn't make me feel like a fool or a ditz for having done this. He told me he did it all the time. He's on the sunny side of 30. I'm sure he's never done it. But that was so nice. I'd like you to recognize the policemen of this, the officers of this village. They're wonderful. Him in particular. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Franny.
Good evening. My name is Francis Amcheski, 40 West Prospect Street in Southampton. I know you all know me. Been here many times. I'm going to speak about the same thing. Law enforcement down at the picnic area. I heard this was one of the concerns of our complainants at the beach there. Surf school. They were only allowed to go 9 to 12, Monday through Friday, at a specific beach. They're there on the weekends, called many times, called the police, they come, nothing happens. We need to have this enforced, it's illegal. I'm not against the surf school, I'm totally for helping the kids learn to surf. I've spoken to Rich before about this, and we should have some kind of program in the village for the kids to learn how to surf, but the right way. And the picnic area is a very sensitive area, and one of the complainants I've been in touch with a lot actually sent emails of surf school trucks down there, and nothing was done. We need to enforce this. This is a big issue down there. At the end of the year, like I'm going to say it again, the last time I was here, there was 4 different surf schools down there giving private lessons on the weekend. That's over 100 people down there, just to surf school lessons. I'm not against surf school, not against lessons, but in this particular area, it's very sensitive. Spoke about this many times. We need to enforce it there and help these people at least relieve some of the pressure down there. And that's a big issue with relieving the pressure down there. Thank you.
Donald Lawrence?
I think I signed up in the wrong spot. I'm just here to support Kristen.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right. David?
Thanks, David Yorio, 76 Winding Way. Here on similar stuff to Kristen and Fran. We have some concerns about the conference that was held on the 31st. We have requested a transcript of it. We haven't been able to get that. For tonight, we'd like to go on the record. We'd like to submit, these are 50 photos from last summer. They show what we believe to be an honest depiction of the picnic area. We would like these to be submitted as part of the case, as part of the suit. And so, for the record, we're submitting those tonight. We have some other concerns that we'd like to discuss off the record. So we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks. Okay, that's everybody who signed up. Anyone else who'd like to speak? Come on, John. Yeah, come on.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening. My name is John Archer. Everybody hear me pretty well? 26 Lake Drive, Southampton, New York. The good news is the weather's supposed to get to 80 degrees next couple of days, I hope. So I think we'll be able to maybe swim in the ocean. I don't know. My only concern and my only hope, and hope is a desperate word, we use it quite often, is that the village trustees and the town can come together and possibly find alternate areas for drive-on beach access. You know, maybe allocate the pressure that's down there on Meadow Lane. If we can find some sort of path to get that done among the municipalities here, I think that would be a great feat. I really do. So that's and I can't push it any more than talking to you, the board here and the town trustees. I think there is possibility to pursue that. I really do. But I think we have to actively engage amongst the parties here to get that done. I think it's a viable solution. I really do. Of course, you're going to run into the same scenario if you do that. I get it. You're going to get the same homeowners who are going to fight that. But I feel like we're failing if we don't do something, if we don't try to do something. And that's my only goal here, to talk about that and maybe see if we can follow up on the actions on doing something like that. Thank you.
Bill?
Some chances, I thought it was mentioned of some additional beaches, but...
I mean, we've gone this winter, we've gone to the town board and the town trustee. We had a meeting, our members of this board, members of the town board, members of the town trustees. It went nowhere.
I know.
It's actually, there's no action at the town level to open up beaches. So,
It is frustrating, you know?
you're telling me.
I know, and you get it, and we get it,
No.
community members.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
This is off
I
the-
mean,
this is off the
yeah,
record.
I know. Well, it's not off the record, you're on the record. Well, no, look, this board has put a lot of time and effort into positioning the village to put the very best case forward to protect the access and protect what goes on there. I go down there.
Can I get up and say something?
Yeah. Yeah, come on up. Yeah.
Francis Samcheski again. Back in 1985, I believe, the village started to have, before that, there was, you could drive anywhere in the village. Before 1985, you can drive four-wheel drive without a permit anywhere, I believe. And 1985 was a law made to stop us from driving and have a permit from Halsey Neck, I believe, to, I guess, Suffolk County Park. Is there any way we can change that law back to where it was supposed to, like back in the day where it was changed, why they changed it?
I actually think you might be wrong on your dates and the
Well,
area.
I'm just saying, I don't know if it's 19, I'm just saying, I think in 1985.
Well, I think that, yeah, I mean, Mr. Hattrick was the mayor, and I think the law was in 78.
Okay.
And it actually identified the same exact space that is there today. Now, you talk about enforcement, maybe nobody ever enforced anything, but that was the,
I'm just thinking maybe we can, I don't know who made the law that we should have restrictions and have us posted in that little area that we are in now, or
well, that goes,
even before that, I mean.
based on the research that I did, and you'll look at it, it was 1978, it identified that, nothing changed from what I've been able to find, unless somebody can correct me on that.
Well, before 78, or when it was at 78, can we go back to 78 and look at that law that was written? Is there any way to change that back to?
Here's what I would do. I wouldn't change that law, because that law right there is actually held up in court in the prior lawsuit. There's been 3 lawsuits.
Correct.
Okay, one has been, one, which is the Katz lawsuit they reference to, that the village won. And
Okay.
our code stood up in court.
Okay.
And there's 2 lawsuits now. One's the Birch lawsuit, and the other one is the Airskog lawsuit. The one that they had the meeting on last week, which I don't think anybody on this board, we were even notified about that meeting. I didn't get notification on it. None of us did until after the fact.
So it was just a meeting, and there was
It was a
no
meeting, and then,
litigations of,
well, it
was a conference
it's a
before the
conference.
judge.
Yeah.
Amongst the attorneys that were involved in the lawsuit. The judge called them in for a conference.
okay, so,
There've been motions made in that litigation. Motions by the village to throw out some of the claims,
okay,
motions by the plaintiffs for judgment on some of the claims, and they've all been briefed in paperwork, et cetera, and submitted to the judge, and the judge asked the attorneys to come in for a conference, and that was what occurred recently.
so this has still got to go to trial before anything is settled, right, I believe?
Well, we're awaiting a decision by the judge on the various motions.
Okay,
Until all those motions are determined by the judge, we don't know whether, what will happen.
Our goal is to get everything thrown out.
Okay.
That's our goal. That's the position that we've taken.
Okay.
We try to support that with as much evidence as possible. And, the town trustees have done the same thing with council. It's sitting in the hands of a judge right now to figure out where it goes from here.
Okay.
So, this board is everybody on this board is very supportive of beach access and very supportive of four-wheel drive use in that area, and all we've tried to do is protect that right to be able to do that, and everything that we've done. And whether it's been negotiations or discussions, and that's the way our lawyers approach that, and that's what we've tried to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Come on up.
My name is Jeremy Rand, 14 Anchor Street, Flanders, former veteran of the United States military. I just asked that question now. I've been working down on Dune Road from Halsey Neck down to Gary Mason Way and down to Jim Mary Way, God rest his soul. And I've seen, just offhand, 15 new houses going in down there. At least 15. I've worked on one of them. I see their plantings, I see what they put in the yard, and I see what they add and what they take away from the dunes. So I'm sitting here thinking, everybody's against us for our little trucks, my 2 kids and my beautiful wife, to go down there and enjoy the beach. Meanwhile, I see the construction going on down there, and they're doing the pylons, and every house has at least 5 or 6 cesspools dug out in the front. Now, if you times that by 15, let's just say 100 new cesspools from Halsey Neck down to Gary Mason Way, Jim Mary Way. To me, that doesn't make sense. In the military, you don't let enemies in your backyard. I mean, we're allowing them to build all these beautiful houses. I don't know if they're beautiful, but one house over by the old boat ramp there where it fell down, it goes from one corner to the other corner, and it looks like the Sahara Desert. It's like this. I can't even describe it, but it's so big. And here I am thinking, like, why are they giving us a problem about us driving our trucks and bringing our families down there enjoying one Sunday for 2 months out of the year, pretty much 8 to 10 weekends, and they have all these beautiful, this property and all these cesspools and all these chemicals, and they're giving us a hard time about our trucks. That's a tough pill to swallow. Now, I know you guys are doing your best, and I really appreciate it, and the trustees in the town, but we got to get better. As we said from the beginning, we're never going to come off that beach, and that's a true statement, And I hope to be down there. I've been down there since '77, since a 1-year-old boy. I brought my daughter down there last year for the first time. She ate sand for 4 hours on the beach. It was probably the greatest day I've ever spent. It was just fantastic. So you're not just fighting for, our four-wheel drive access, you're fighting for the families of Southampton Town. So just keep that in mind when, the chips are down. Don't ever give up. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what I was taught at 18 years old when I went to the service. So if it means we got to lessen the people down there, I spoke to somebody from Cutchogue last year. He had a business in West Hampton. That allowed him to get a sticker for the Southampton Town to drive on, and then ultimately a village pass to get down on the beach. Now, I got no problem with that guy because he was real nice and he had a daughter just like mine. We shook hands. We got along real well. But it pains me to know that this man who doesn't live in our town still gets to come down there. Now, when, I got Mr. Gay and Franny, they're not allowed to come down there, but some guy from Cutchogue or somebody that owns a business, I really feel, and I know it's just hard to say, but it should be year-round residents who access that beach, if it comes down to it, because that'll cut the numbers in half. If you're looking to cut numbers, you really want to get serious and you don't want to offend anybody. It's year-round residents who are here in the middle of the winter, scraping their knuckles to make it ends meet and looking forward to those Sundays, So I just want to say thank you for your time. Keep up the good fight. God bless New York, man, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak? Come on up, Brenda.
Brenda Simmons, 167 Miller Road. With everything going on, I remembered I got a call and a question was asked to me, and I just remembered I forgot to ask in regards to the thing we had in our community. It's a hard question, but I have to ask you. I'm glad the chief is here. The question that was asked to me, if this slur that came up, that was a call coming to the police station last year, why was it addressed? Why was it not addressed last year and brought to our attention in the community? So that's the question.
I actually didn't know about it until Friday afternoon when the FOIL request came through. So, I don't know if the chief wants to answer that, if he feels comfortable answering. I hate to put him on the spot, but come on up, chief.
We get over
approximately 40,000 phone calls to the department every year. We're not going to call the newspaper every time somebody says something inappropriate on the phone to us. And then when the press, and for the law, the 911 calls you can't release, but if you dial the 7-digit number, you can release, which is why this got released. And the press asked for it, we looked for it, we found it, we had to release it. It wasn't something that I was even aware of until they requested it. So, hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Chief. Anyone else from the public would like to make comment? Okay. All right, we're going to close the public comment section. We're going to go into some we have no board presentations, no public hearings, and we have some communication to the board, and I see members of the Behringer family. If you guys would like to come on up right now.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Trustees. My name is Finley Behringer. I live at 1 Fort Hill Road in Hampton Bays.
Patrick Behringer, 208 Millstone Brook Road, Southampton.
So I guess we'll take it to a bit of a lighter note. In recognition of the opening of the multiple access roads on Meadow Lane, we would like to formally request of the village. We've already been to the town of Southampton, and they are on board and in full support of us. We would just like to ask that our father, Tim Behringer, be recognized for his efforts towards the community and Southampton town as a whole, involved in multiple organizations such as Boy Scouts of America, Southampton, Southampton Association for Beach Access, as well as CFAR, Southampton Youth Association, the Southampton Chamber of Commerce, Southampton Little League, and also the Southampton Arts Center. We recognize that our father was a contributing member to this community above many others, and we would just like to formally request that the community recognizes that as well. What we would like to ask is that one of the access roads, specifically Road A, I believe, be named after our father, Tim Behringer's Way.
I do. Okay. I'm very supportive of this. You know how I feel about your father. I love the guy. I'd do anything for him. So, I don't know how the rest of anybody else from the board wanted to speak on this.
No, I agree with you.
No.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be great.
yeah, so I'm going to make a motion to dedicate Road A to Tim Behringer, name it Tim Behringer Way.
Second?
Second.
Aye.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you very much.
All right, Horace, with,
My name is Horace Bliss. I'm a resident of Southampton Village, 88 Meadow Lane. Mayor, trustees, I reasonably and respectfully request that the Southampton Board negotiate an intermunicipal agreement between Southampton Town and Southampton Village, granting Southampton Village home rule with equitable and proportionate control as of right over A, the appointment of the Southampton Town Community Preservation Fund Management Board, and B, the implementation of 100% of the Southampton Village CPF taxes collected in the future. The CPF Management Board membership shall be equal to the percentage of Southampton Village CPF taxes collected to the percentage of the total of Southampton Town CPF taxes collected. Exhibit 1, which I provided to you, is a copy of the East Hampton Town intermunicipal agreement with East Hampton Village dated August 2016. Note that East Hampton Town has granted East Hampton Village home rule and some proportionate control over certain aspects of the East Hampton Village CPF matters. This establishes the legal and equitable precedent for an agreement between Southampton Town and Southampton Village. Note Exhibit 2, the copy of Southampton Village CPF taxes prepared by our own Southampton Village administrator. Note that the Southampton Village CPF taxes collected in Southampton Village of approximately $150 million as compared to approximately $36 million invested in Southampton Village. Southampton Village has benefited from only approximately 24% of the CPF taxes collected in Southampton Village. Accordingly, Southampton Village has contributed more than $100 million in Southampton Village CPF taxes collected for redistribution by Southampton Town to Southampton Town itself, but not to Southampton Village. Note, the Southampton Town CPF Community Preservation Board is appointed and controlled by the Southampton Town Board. Southampton Village must demand home rule as of right with equitable and proportionate control of the CPF Board. I East End Town voters approved an amendment to the CPF tax law in 2016, which approves the use of up to 20% of each town's CPF tax revenues for water quality improvement. The Suffolk County Department of Health is in the process of approving advanced septic systems. Southampton Town Councilman John Bouvier reports that Southampton Town has been working on legislation for months for water quality programs. Question: how, when, and where is Southampton Village represented in Bouvier's program? Is Southampton Village protecting its taxpayers so that Southampton Town does not divert another $100 million to Southampton Town projects? Will the Southampton Village CPF taxes be distributed by Bouvier to win election votes from Southampton Town voters? Has the Southampton Village Board read and approved the Southampton Town CPF Water Quality Improvement Plan? After the Southampton Village election, will the Southampton Village Board elect members to the Southampton Town CPF Management Board, or will Southampton Village need to ask for permission from the Southampton Town Board for representation on the Management Board? Will the Southampton Board also need approval from Southampton Town Board for the candidates? Will it have to ask permission from Southampton Town and clearance for Southampton Village candidates on the board? Interested parties appear to be working on a plan to spend Southampton Village CPF taxes. Does Southampton Village have an independent plan with respect to the 20%? I'm asking the mayor and trustees of Southampton Village, is Southampton Village represented in these plans? Please negotiate an intermunicipal agreement between Southampton Town and Southampton Village with respect to the 20% of the CPF allocated to water quality improvement so that Southampton Village is treated equitably and proportionately. Do so before Southampton Town uses Southampton Village CPF taxes to divert another $100 million to fund Southampton Town. Home rule with equitable and proportionate control as of right. To date, the Southampton Village CPF has been a wealth transfer of $100 million to Southampton Town. If Southampton Town refuses, Southampton Village should consider reincorporating Southampton Village into a city or a town. I believe that some of the hamlets with very high tax assessments east of Southampton Village would welcome annexation. I believe that reincorporation and/or annexation would devastate Southampton real estate tax revenues. I reasonably and respectfully submitted by a resident taxpayer of Southampton. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, suggested resolution.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
The lady from the press, do you have a copy of what Mr. Bliss just gave us?
If you have one.
I would love to give you one, because this is an important issue, and you might as well have it right from the...
Great, thanks so much.
This was highlighted.
Oh, that one's highlighted.
Well, that was highlighted for my own benefit, so...
Got it.
Good? Okay.
Move for her too? Pardon me? Yes. I'm sorry, can you...
Sure.
I mean, Rick and I were talking about your letter earlier, and I know that there was an effort years ago to develop the intermunicipal agreement between the town and the villages. So in East Hampton, you all right, Rich?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
New chairs.
In East Hampton, there's basically 1.5 villages in East Hampton, just really one. And in Southampton, there are 7. And back quite a few years ago.
This was back in 1999 when the Preservation Fund and the 2% transfer tax first came out. Various villages in the town, including the village of Southampton and others, we got together and presented to the town board a proposal to do an intermunicipal agreement which would assure that each, among other things, I don't remember all the details of it, but we were attempting to assure that an equitable percent of the 2% transfer tax generated from properties in the village would be utilized for acquiring properties in the village. So the very idea that you're presenting tonight, we attempted to negotiate back in 1999, and we tried to do it as a unified village approach with, I don't remember now what percentages were suggested or whatever back then for each village to get, but we diligently pursued that and didn't get anywhere with it. But that doesn't mean we couldn't try again. But we did make that effort back then.
I'd also like to say also that I sit on the CPF advisory board, and you and I've told you that a bunch of times. I've been on there since I was first elected, and that I'm the representative for villages. So there's a representative for villages on that advisory committee. There's a CPF plan in which they have to purchase properties off of, and they have a bunch of different the basis for it, and a lot of it's around water quality and open space and recreational properties, and historical properties too. And you have to use that plan to purchase properties. You also have to have a willing seller, that the owner of that property has to be willing to sell off the property or the development's rights or whatever to the town. And then there aren't many properties in the village of Southampton that actually fall into these categories. You could actually use that money.
Mine does.
No, your property, your house on Meadow Lane is not a house that I would go through and support. It's an improved piece of property that you'd have to have it, you'd have to clean it up and do all of that. That's, from my standpoint, it's something I wouldn't support. I would support something that would be on the bay side, that would really impact water quality over there. There are a lot of wetlands. I'd support stuff. This is just, and having sat on that advisory committee for 12 years, watching property after property after property come through, and every time you purchase a piece of property that's improved, it takes a lot of money to maintain it, or you have to clean it up, and those are things. And then on top of it, your property down on Meadow Lane, the cost of that property to buy that with CPF is substantial. You know that, and so. Horace, I've known you long enough that I know your bargain. So, but that's really so. The great part about CPF and the changes is that you can actually use a percentage of that money now towards water quality improvement in household septic systems. I'd love to have that $100 million come into the village, and I'd love to see that money come in so that way we could use it for septic improvements, because like Agawam quality is down. I mean, every single one of our ponds and lakes in the village of Southampton have issues, substantial issues. And right now, the way the law is written, it's very difficult. So but I agree, it's probably something that the next administration should reach out to the East End Mayors and Supervisors group and put together a contingency of the other mayors and try to start negotiating to get a stronger representation in CPF, especially now with the money being spent on septic. Yeah, come on up, yeah.
It is very clear that, at least in my opinion, the Southampton town does not want to give up control. Number two, I understand some of the ramifications and some of the difficulties in choosing and doing your due diligence on the properties. There are no easy solutions to any of this. But based on what I think you've said, and I'm not sure I heard you correctly, you are the sole representative on the Southampton town, on that particular Southampton town board, representing all the villages.
I'm the village rep, yes.
For all the villages?
Yes.
Well, seems to me if you took Quogue, West Hampton, Southampton, and you know the numbers,
sure,
and we added up either their total assessed value, that's one benchmark, or looked at the total dollars that are being paid into the CPF funds from those villages, yeah, I think you would find that the percentages would be important. Let me leave it at that because I can't throw a number. Seems to me that the mayors of all the villages should say, we would like individual representation, we want home rule, and we want to be part of the decision-making process, not just for the 80% or more, which will be used to buy additional property, but also for the 20% or less, which we used for water quality issues. And to have Southampton Town sit there and say, sounds like the Kremlin, yet we're not going to do it. Now, going back a few years before you were mayor, we had a Southampton Finance Committee, Southampton Village Finance Committee, and we did some very interesting work in looking towards the reincorporation of Southampton Village into a town or a city.
Yeah.
And that was not completed. Mayor Romo did not run again, and it would be a very difficult chore. I'm not sure it's going to be an easy chore. But at that time, we made contact with some of the other adjoining communities, especially the hamlets that surround us, which have very high tax assessment valuations. And you could look at the numbers. If you could do a reincorporation or an annexation of a number of those hamlets, Southampton Town would go bankrupt. They can keep Flanders and Hampton Bays, and we'll take the rest and form a new town, a new city, and I don't know. It seems to me that it's a subject that might be very interesting.
Well, I have about 3 weeks left as the mayor, okay? So maybe the next administration, maybe that's something they would like to do.
We're talking to the two possible mayor candidates here, but I didn't mean to insult you in any way. But
no, it's okay. It's okay. I mean,
we'll always be friends.
I know. So.
Well, sorry it took so much time.
Well, I just want to ask you a question. So you're saying that you should take Southampton Village and turn it into a Southampton city?
Or town. Reincorporated, very simple.
But in order to do that,
Custer said that.
are you saying that
But our
we should
lawyer's
take?
leaving too.
Yeah, I know.
Are you saying
We're not only leaving, we're running now.
You first said it's very simple. Earlier, you said it's probably complicated. Your first statement was correct. I remember.
You're running for political office. I mean, yeah.
I remember when the village.
I'm a little confused over this.
What you're talking about, when the village started looking into becoming a city. I don't remember all the details. That was.
I do.
I doubt that you remember all the details.
I'm sorry, that is correct.
I doubt that you remember any of the legal details, but I do remember that there were lots of legal issues and practical issues that would have had to have been explored and addressed, and it was not a simple undertaking.
What I said was a simple undertaking was to answer her question as to what will be done, and that was that the village would reincorporate as a city or a town. Getting from there to getting all the legal work done is very complicated. I was saying was
But
simple.
I also thought there has to be a certain population in order to qualify as a city or a town.
I believe we qualify at the present time, but as soon as we annex some of the high real estate properties around us, you'll have tax money coming out of your ears.
Yeah, but let me just say this here. I don't know if you've looked at what the town's charging these days for real estate taxes. It's off the charts. So you're talking properties that are half acre on the water are 30 grand a year for not even on the ocean or any of that.
I know well.
I know, and a lot of them. So they're cashing in.
I've overstayed my time limit, and I'm going to make a final comment. I did an analysis, and I submitted to Ryan Horn, who is the Southampton Town interface on information, and I came to an analysis that said that Southampton Village taxpayers pay approximately $4.8 million to Southampton Town in real estate taxes. And he said that's approximately correct. Then I made a list of all of the services that Southampton Village provides to Southampton Village resident taxpayers. Then I matched them to all the services that Southampton Town provides to Southampton Village taxpayers. And I found the dog collector.
Right.
And I'm not talking about politicians now. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. They provide us with the landfill, but when I did the cash flows on the landfill, and it ran at a $300,000 negative cash flow last year. As far as I'm concerned, that's a break even. And then they have housing for the indigent. I forget what they call it. Those are the only three services we could find for $4.8 million. If the village budget is presently $25 million, but I think it's somewhere close to that, and you take $5 million, that's 20% of our total taxes here in the village. They go up to the town for providing us with a dog catcher and very little else.
But I mean, I've looked at my town taxes, and my town taxes are between 75 and 80% school tax. The county gets a little bit.
We're not talking about school taxes. We're talking about Southampton Town taxes.
What we're talking about is a percentage, probably about 20% of the general fund is paid for by the village of Southampton. The general fund goes to pay for more than just the dog catcher and part of the dump.
But Ryan Horn couldn't show me what else.
All the operations in town hall.
Wonderful.
The town trustees, okay, all of that stuff, all of that, we're paying 20% of it.
We wouldn't have to pay it if we were a city or a town by ourselves.
You wouldn't, but you have to go through the whole
maybe the town will move out so we can get some real estate taxes and get our streets back and get some parking and get all that traffic out of here. I'm going to excuse myself before...
This is not really headed in the right direction.
I think Steve's going to call the policeman and have me ushered out of the building. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Horace. Horace, along these same lines that you're speaking of, Steve, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, I am quite sure you were the one who furnished me a list that, you recently furnished this list of how much we've put in and how much we've received since the inception of the CPF plan. But you also, I'm positive I got it from you, because I don't know who else would have given it to me, sheets of paper that showed who the winners were. I mean, we're the biggest loser in the town of Southampton Township. And it's just kind of interesting to know who you're benefiting, to see it. And do you know that you...
Well, that's right on the town website.
So you could print that up again?
That's a total report. I gave Ross a copy of it also, but
I don't know.
Broken down by every hamlet.
I don't know if you would find that interesting to publish, but it's interesting we're clearly the biggest losers on the East End. And pardon me?
It's on the town website. If you go to the Community Preservation Fund, it talks about the breakdown.
And Quogue and some of these places, it's astonishing to see who put in 6% and got out, 23% and so on. And the other thing that does really alarm me at this point, and it came out the other night at the debate, and Nancy was kind enough to bring me up to date on the fact that the CPF bought the Corrigan property on Moses Lane, and they paid $14 million for it. And not too long ago, they bought the Dozier property, not Dozier, Concert property. But I've been around this village a few years. I don't think there's a damn thing left to buy that would be any consequential benefit to the village. So as bad, if you think it's bad today, we just saw our best day, and it's over. You're not going to buy, this property out on Fowler Lane and so on. You're talking about buying 2 acres for, I don't know, $10 million or whatever the prices are, I'm guessing. But there's nothing left that we can use or really want. I'm thrilled that they did buy that Corrigan property. That was
well, unless
perfect.
there's some additional wetlands that are down on Meadow Lane. We did purchase a couple of properties on Meadow Lane on the bay side. If there's anything more down there, that would be
you see Mulholland.
That would be that would be something. But I went to a meeting a couple of years ago in West Hampton, and Fred Thiel was there and Laval was there, and I thought it was a very interesting meeting. It was when McGinty was in office in East Hampton. So he got up, because of course Community Preservation bought Poxabog, to preserve Poxabog at one point. So McGinty gets up and he is asking Community Preservation to buy the bowling alley in East Hampton because he was going to lose his bowling alley. And with that, I had a representative from the North Fork sitting there who said, I am going to go absolutely crazy. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, I cannot, because they have a different level over there. Like, I think they are 180,000. They get anything over above 180,000, I think it is. It's either 150 or 180. We're 250. You pay community preservation on anything above 250,000. They're less because their price point is less. And because their price point is less on the North Fork, they bring in less money. So she said to me, I'm just driven crazy. She said, I cannot scrape enough money together to buy up properties that are precious estuaries that are polluting our bays and our systems, and he wants to buy a bowling alley. At which point, Fred Thiel came up and he said, well, because Fred Thiel and Laval were very interested in taking money from all other areas and giving it to them, because as he said, if you put 2 kids in the bathtub, what one does in the bathtub affects the other child in the bathtub. So what he's saying is in the estuaries, if you don't protect your estuaries in the Riverhead area and points east of there, they will affect everything, all the way out to Montauk and beyond. And he's correct. That is correct. So some of the money will go somewhere else. It just has to. It's just the way it has to be.
Another 100 million. 100 million here and 100 million there.
There you go.
Yeah, but if it cleaned up something, if it cleaned up our bays, I would be thrilled. We have issues there, real bad issues.
All right, so we're going to get into suggested resolutions now. So thank you. So,
Item 1, resolve the reading of the minutes for the public session of May 23rd, 2017 be dispensed with, and those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator. The actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? Second. All in favor? Resolve the claims for the warrants dated June 8th, 2017, totaling $1,560,822.80. Warrant 2, General Fund, $186,527.55. Warrant 1, General Fund Payables, $482,258. Warrant 2, Trust Fund, $3,102.91. Warrant 1, Trust Expense Fund, and $34,271. Warrant 1, Capital Reserve Fund, and the village payrolls for the period from May 12th, 2017 to June 8th, 2017 be ordered and approved. Have a motion? Second?
Second.
Discussion, item 1, page 1 on warrant 1. Alpine Software Corp., Red Alert Maintenance System, 2002-4316 for the ambulance. Areas Design, final payment on the Agawam redesign of the park, $4,000. Barboy Products, freezer for Cooper's Beach, $1,289. Page 2, Bon Jovi Sales, toilet petitions for the new bass at Agawam, $5,640. Page 3, Cast Productions, videotaping services for May, $2,271.65. John Cause, Fire Department, medical reimbursement, $1,000. Candace Clanahan going over on page 4, minutes for the zoning board, $1,040. Coastal Fire Systems, fire gloves, $4,495.60. Ed Corrigan and Maurice Corrigan, Fire Department, medical reimbursement, $1,000. Everhart Nursery for trees, $1,215. ESOS Solutions on page 5, ambulance software maintenance agreement, $3,746.40. SA Plumbing and Heating, new water main for the bass at Agawam, $3,195. Firematic Supply, fire foam for the fire department, $1,190. Page 6, Fluid Imagery, IT work for PD, $3,930. Fundamental Business Services, collection fees for December, $1,627.50. A couple of payments to Galls for police uniforms and equipment, $1,350, $1,260. Page 7, $1,206.15, $1,173, and $1,219.03. Tristan Glenn's Fire Department medical reimbursement, $1,000. Payment to Granger for safety equipment for the ambulance, $1,340.90. Page 8, Herrick Hardware, flowing on to page 10. May Supplies, $1,751.61. Ron Hill, ambulance medical reimbursement, $1,000. Human Resources, $6,022 for the community block grant for 2016. Integrated Wireless Technologies, equipment for PD, $7,645. Johnson Electrical Construction Corp., traffic signal maintenance from May, $1,350. Page 11, Don King, Fire Department medical reimbursement, $1,000. Peter Kerwin for the ambulance, $1,000. Kyocera Document Solutions, copier for the PD, $1,876. Lionel Truck Parts, parts for the garage, $1,738.21. Lynch's Garden Center, going on to page 12, Marsh Supplies, $3,304.77. Mayday Communications, rental of radios for the summer, $3,300. Golden Water Supply, going on to page 13. Parts for the garage, $3,905.35. Page 14, MTC Security Company, door repair for the fire department, $3,509.64. Page 16, North Fork Design Studio, Cooper's Uniforms, $2,967. Page 17, Pine Barrens Printing, daily passes for Cooper's, $2,520.48. Pitney Bowes, mail for the village clerk, $2,400, and for the court, $1,000. Page 18, Veteran Price, Fire Department reimbursement for medical, $1,000, and Sam Price, $1,000 medical reimbursement. Priority Dispatch, PD Medical Dispatch System, $1,680. PSE&G for the buildings, May bill, $2,436.13. For PD, $3,525.88. Fire Department, $4,844.23. And streetlights, $5,291. Page 19, David Rayner, medical reimbursement for fire department, $1,000. Riverhead Building Supplies on page 20, supplies for the various departments, which includes the Agawam Bass, $2,810.58. Celex ES, plate reader for the warranty for the PD, $2,164. Page 21, Southampton Daycare, community block grant, $6,020. Southampton Fire Department, reimbursement for a conference, $2,959.02. Sprague Operating Reserves, 3,173 gallons of gasoline, $5,489.29. Anthony Stevens, Fire Department reimbursement, $1,000, as well as Patrick Terry for the Fire Department, $1,000. Page 22, Diego Trujillo, Fire Department reimbursement, $1,000. Verizon phone bill for May, $3,698.50. Page 23, W.D. Mason, reimbursement payment for the chief's furniture was damaged with the flood, which will be covered by insurance, $1,394. Next warrant is warrant 2 for the general fund, DK fire suppression, fire sprinkler maintenance, $1,000. CSE employment benefit fund, June premium to $26,228.70. Cook Marin insurance installment, $20,085. First Presbyterian Church parking lease for June, $3,000. New York State Health Insurance for June, $297,398.24. Page 2, a perma for the workers' comp premium, $1,200,639. Service Education Court Software Maintenance Agreement, $1,140. Page 3, Vector Airport Systems, maintaining of the camera systems down at the heliport for 2017, $5,144. And Vehicle Tracking Solutions GPS for June, $1,079.55. Next warrant is the expense warrant, CS Trust Fund, Riverhead Building Supply, $2,882.91 for the new bathrooms going in at Agawam Park. And the last warrant is the Capital Reserve, Coastal Fire Systems, Scott Ness, the Fire Department, $12,933, and Maximum Motorsports, 2 mules for the beach, $21,338. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budgetary adjustment for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2017. Debiting fund balance, $108,075.87, crediting appropriations, $108,075.87, and crediting highway personnel, $108,075.87. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, this is just taking money out of the appropriations for the compensated reserve. We had 3 highway employees retire this year, John Bristowski, Gary Aldrich, and Leroy Dunwell, which is their accumulated time. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached schedule of budget transfers to eliminate overages for the period ending May 31st, 2017. Can I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Item 1, highway personnel, $25,300 coming out, with $19,300 going into clerk personal and $6,000 going into clerk contractual. $10,000 coming from fire contractual, $12,000 from fire miscellaneous, $10,000 from fire supplies, with $32,000 going to fire equipment. Next item is $3,000 from police telephone, with $3,000 going to police miscellaneous. And the last item is $4,450 coming from shade trees, going into shade trees contractual. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves Sadie Levine and Chiacco, CPAs, PC, 125 Jericho Turnpike, Jericho, New York, 11753, as the orders for the Village and Justice Court for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2017, for the combined fee of $34,075. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the organizational meeting of the Village of Southampton be scheduled for Monday, July 3rd, 2017, in the boardroom of Village Hall. The village administrator will administer the oath of office to the mayor and 2 trustees on the steps of Village Hall, weather permitting, at approximately 4:15 p.m. The organizational meeting will commence following the oath of office. Can I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following as new members to the SVVA Incorporated: Lucia de los Santos, Kieran Klinsky, Tracy Lepis, Cameron Highsmith, and Vladimir Barzapal. Got a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves Graham Finns as a probationary member of Hook and Ladder Company 1 effective June 8th, 2017. Got a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves Shakoya Davis as a probation member of Fire Police Company 1 effective June 8th, 2017. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Item 10, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following payments from the Capital Reserve account subject to permissive referendum. Maximum Motorsports, $21,338 from Major Equipment Reserve, and Coastal Fire Systems, $12,933 from the Fire Equipment Reserve. Have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the discussion items here with the Southampton African American Museum lease agreement here, Rick.
Yeah, at the last meeting, you had before you a draft license agreement. At that meeting, Brenda provided some documents, some legal documents showing the full and correct legal name of the entity. So we're going to revise the name of the licensee so as to match its name in the documents that she provided. That was one item. The second item, paragraph 7 of the draft license agreement provides that the licensee shall be responsible for necessary maintenance and repairs with respect to the building and improvements and the grounds. Brenda asked that you consider revising that to put some of that obligation on the village. She asked you to look at the Historical Museum lease, and after the last meeting, Steve provided some information about the lease. I also pulled out my Historical Museum file, and I see that, you know, the Historical Museum lease goes back to 1951 with various extensions, and then in April of 2016, we did an amendment to that lease, but it did not change anything having to do with maintenance and repairs. And so under the Historical Museum lease, the Historical Museum is responsible for maintenance and repairs on the grounds. So this paragraph in the draft license agreement, you know, is consistent with what you have with the Historical Museum. I don't know if Brenda wants to make any further comments regarding her request that you consider something different.
Brenda Simmons again. I just want to read portions of the IMA between the town and village, and maybe we can just clarify this and settle this tonight. The agreement entered was the 28th of January 2009, and I just want to read just portions of it, not the whole thing. And this says, purpose of the parties desire that the village maintain, manage, and operate the entire parcel of the property for the purpose and intent expressed herein. The village has reviewed and authorizing Resolution 971 of 2006 is fully aware of the intended purpose. I don't know exactly word for word what that is, but I think it has to do with when we presented to the town, we asked them to have so we can run it as a museum. I think that's what
No,
basically.
that's exactly what it was.
What it talks about.
Just to go back, just read that first part. Was it maintenance, manage? Because you said maintenance.
Purpose, what first part, what was reading?
You just read in the
It
first
says the
part.
parties desire that the village manage.
Manage, okay.
And
Because you said
operate.
maintenance.
I'm sorry.
Right, and then manage, and so, okay,
I'm
I just
sorry.
wanted to,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
I never really got the whole
The
gist of all of it.
intermunicipal agreement doesn't have anything directly to do with this license agreement.
Right.
The intermunicipal agreement is between the town and the village. Under that agreement, the town is not responsible for maintenance or repairs, the village is.
Okay,
But we do have the right, subject to town approval, to enter into a license agreement with for the Southampton African American Museum, and that's a matter for the village board and the South African American Museum to negotiate and agree on. There's nothing in the town intermunicipal agreement that dictates what the terms of a license agreement would be.
well, that's what I've been trying to ask for quite a long time. So this is my first time actually, you know, hearing that information, because it also mentioned that utilities, that the village will assume responsible for utilities, including connections, blah, 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 agreement including but not limited to water, electricity, and fuel. And so that was the main thing I was trying to. And then it says, day-to-day operation of premises shall be exclusively conducted by the village. The village shall have the right to enter a license agreement with the African American Museum and nonprofit corporation to provide cultural amenities within the property. The village acknowledges that all uses of property must comply with the provisions of Town Law 64E and Chapter 140 of Southampton Town Code. Said license agreement is contingent upon written town approval. Personnel needed for operation of premises shall be furnished and paid by the village. So you're saying that has nothing to do with the license agreement?
That establishes the relationship between the town and the village.
Okay.
The village could operate it itself,
Mm-hmm.
in which event the village would be responsible for all those things, because the town isn't responsible for anything.
Right.
If the village chooses to enter into a license agreement with the Southampton African American Museum for the museum to operate it. The village has the power to do that if you want to do it, et cetera. So it's a matter of agreement between the village and the Southampton African American Museum.
Okay. I assume that, but like I said, I've never, ever gotten that until tonight, so thank you.
So I think that we should be consistent with other organizations and stuff. So, I mean, and I don't know how, so I'm the short timer up here, so, but I don't know how everybody else's feelings are around that, but I think, for me personally, I think we should be consistent, so.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think basically, I mean, it's going to be a brand-new building, so I don't think it's going to be a whole bunch of maintenance and all that kind of stuff.
But we have to think long-term.
Yes, and that's why I'm here.
And that's
what I'm looking at.
So, it's got to be, if it's a new building, is it sustaining itself? Is it going to be something that would be dependent, be pushed back onto the village to be the operator of it because of maybe the not-for-profit's unable to raise the funds to continue to operate on an annual basis, Don't know, but that's, I think, the way the village has to look at that, so.
And like I said, just to, quickly remind you, I did have a wonderful meeting with Fred Thiel.
Yep.
And we did get the $125,000. And my prayer and my push, as I'm called Bulldog now, is that we will get that and some on a regular basis as an assistant to help.
Right.
And we also working on some other income with grants.
Yeah.
So what you're saying down the road, Mayor, is that in the form of being consistent with what you're saying with existing organizations, but if down the road, if funding was not available, then it could be revisited, the agreement, or is that
The agreements can be revisited.
Of course, so it's something that,
I mean, it's, for
because
me,
you just point out, it would be
yeah.
a point of funding if they currently have some funding and that did fall short and something need to be done, then obviously then.
Let's take the Historical Museum, for example. The reading on the Historical Museum is they would be responsible for maintenance of the structure and the property and stuff, but yet the village does do stuff around there. We invest, they raise a lot of money, they do improvements on the property, the village does work on there too. I'm not sure who pays the electric.
I think in their mind, because I'm involved over there, I think they think, and you can correct me if they're wrong, Rick, but I think they think that they're responsible for the interior of the building and the village is responsible for the exterior. They do handle the grounds, so they have people come in and mow all the grounds. Yeah. They asked the village to come in and redo their driveway because it was terrible. And certain things they asked the village to do because the village owns the Rogers Mansion and the Nugent Carriage House.
And the property.
And the property, and they own all the other little outbuildings, including the Sayre Barn, which they just had completely redone and paid for all of that. So it's a mixed thing over there.
I know that. That's why I'm saying what I said. I've been very involved over there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
The Historical Museum lease, I have it right in front of me.
Right.
It says that the the second part, which is the museum, is responsible for all repairs and maintenance, whether interior or exterior, during the term hereof. It also allows the village, if it chooses to do some of that. But so there's nothing that would preclude the village from, budgeting something for and doing it. At their request. Obviously, it's something that we want it to be. The village would want it to be a viable operating museum.
Right.
We don't know how successful they're going to be in raising funds, et cetera. If they're not able to be a viable museum without help from the village, they can always come back to you and ask you to do some things to make it viable. I mean, it's not in anybody's interest for it not to work.
Right.
Well, that's my main purpose of going to the state, because of course I've been assistant to the mayor for 12 years, and I'm been very involved with what goes on here. And so I was being sensitive as much as I could of what goes on here. And so that's why I was reaching out to the state and that was successful, and I will continue to do that. But I'm glad we're having this open discussion, because I'm thinking just in case down the road we ever have some sort of need, I would hope that we would be able to come to the village and get any kind of, some sort of assistance if needed, that's all.
Well, it goes back to the historical museum, they need assistance. It doesn't benefit the village to watch them fail.
Right.
The same thing with the Southampton Arts Center. It doesn't benefit the village to watch it fail, or the Cultural Center, or the African American Museum. So all are entities that play a role here that we own the property, and it's to the village's best interest to ensure that it succeeds.
Right.
And that's, and if it's assisting with maintenance of the grounds or maintenance of whatever, that's what you have to do, You don't, especially, it's not that.
As a practical matter, if down the road, when you see how your fundraising goes, et cetera, if you're not going to be able to make it without help from the village, you can walk away. So you come to the village, you say, we can't make it. We want it to be viable. You're going to have to help us if you want it to be viable. Otherwise, you walk away, and it's back in the hands of the village to do something.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
It's
But honestly, I thank you for
obviously a cooperative effort.
For your.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that we finally had this complete discussion, because I've always tried to get pieces of this and get this discussion out there, and so now I feel better now that we had this open discussion.
So we've had the open discussion here. So we have the license agreement and stuff. Are you in agreement with everything in the license agreement?
Yes.
And are we in a position now to finalize the license agreement?
Yes, after 6 years, yes.
Okay, and so.
I had to throw that in, I had to throw that in there.
It's only been 6 years?
Maybe 7, who's counting? I lost count after a while. Yeah.
So, we have a finalized copy of that?
You have a copy with everything that, except for the correct name.
Correct name, okay.
Which I can, if you want to do something tonight, you can.
I think we should
You can
do
adopt a
something tonight.
resolution authorizing the mayor.
Was brought out last, we have to obviously get town approval on it too, but we can actually do the resolution tonight.
Oh, yeah, and you can sign it then.
Sign it, and then, yeah.
Right in the license agreement, it says it doesn't become effective until it's approved by the town.
Yeah.
But the first step is for the village and the museum to agree. So if you want to move forward, you can.
I think we should.
You can adopt the resolution.
Over and over again.
And that has all the changes that the Board of Regents, the DBA.
What I said in my email to you, I will be making those changes.
Okay, upon tonight.
Before the mayor signs it.
Right.
Yes.
Okey-doke.
So
We're good.
The resolution will be resolved that the mayor is authorized to execute a license agreement for the Southampton African American Museum with the East End African American Museum and Center for Excellence.
Motion?
The language, when I revise it, will include the reference to the Board of Regents. Exactly what I put in my email to you.
Let's make a motion there.
Motion?
Motion?
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you much.
When I get that changed, I'll email it over to Steve, and then
Okay.
everybody can sign it.
Good. Good. So we have a walk run, the Eastern Long Island NAACP walk, which they do every year, date on June 10th. And basically it's a walk that historically is basically going from the Methodist Church down Main Street. And
I think there's one correction. On 4, it says west on Main to Hampton Road. Isn't that north?
no.
I'm confused.
They walk down the eastern side of Main Street, cross over to Presbyterian Church at Job's Lane, and then come on back on the western side of Main Street.
Oh, I see what
Yeah.
they're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when it said left on Job's Lane and stop at the First Presbyterian, then west on Main Street to Hampton Road,
Yeah, through
then
Willie,
left on
west
Willie
side.
to Yeah, on the west side. They're
West side,
walking.
yeah. You're
north-
going up to Hampton Road,
yeah,
right?
but
Not
they're
the
heading
direction,
north.
it's the side of the
Yeah,
street.
right, okay.
Got lost.
I was like, what? How could that be?
My compass says this.
Yeah, right, yeah, right.
Well, I think it's, yeah, I mean, that's really it, so, okay. Basically, it should say Hampton Road to Woolley Street.
It should.
Is what it should say. But, okay. So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Eastern Long Island chapter of the NAACP walk, slated for June 10th, 2017, in accordance with their application.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have the comments from board members here. Trustee Yaz?
We should do resolution on the
Oh,
chair.
yeah, I was going to actually, because I was just going to bring that under comments, but let's do that under discussion items.
What is that?
The chair.
Oh, the chair, yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Right.
Just sitting in those chairs.
So everybody was at the debate, so we all sat in the chairs at the debate, which was the driving force behind this. So the Southampton Arts Center has
The worst chairs.
the worst chairs in the world, and they're owned by the village. The building's owned by the village, so what I'd
They're
like to
old
do...
theater chairs, are they not?
They are.
the old theater
Yeah,
chairs.
they are. So I'd like to actually make a motion to purchase using the capital reserve, right? Yeah,
yep.
Capital reserve, the Webster R 2100 upholstered seat, the quantity of 200 chairs at the price with 3% discount of $41,638.22.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yay.
Thanks. So, good. Thanks, Mike.
How do you feel, Joe?
We're going to do that. So,
If you knew what I went through sitting,
yeah, I know.
I couldn't move.
I bet. Yeah, I sat down, I felt like somebody needed to pull me out of the chair, so.
Well, they were so low, you know, I mean, it was like, wow, how does one get up?
It's true, very carefully. So, Trustee Yaz, your comments there?
Quickly, just in light of what you said, yeah, about the debate the other night. Well, actually, everybody on here participated in it, minus the mayor. So I do want to thank everyone who showed up, the community. Just like this evening, the community that showed up, you know, there's some topics for the SABA that showed up in the people. I've always said it's very important that people show up and have your voices heard and listen to what people that you elect have to say. So, you know, again, I always implore people to take a very active stance in their community. So I want to thank everybody who showed up the other day, who showed up tonight. It's a pretty good size filled room. So again, always come up, speak out, and let people know what you're thinking. So I thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Rich. Mike?
To add on to what Rich said, I think this is the last meeting before the election, right?
That it is, yes.
So...
Oh, right. Oh, my goodness.
Everybody should get out and vote. And it's very important. The vote is on June 16th, and we hope to see you all there.
Well, since the two of you have already brought it up, I'm not bringing it up. But I do want to thank everybody who came out for the debate. It was really quite something. And, you know, I think it showed a lot of feeling on everybody's part. We learned a lot. And it was peaceful, which I thought was wonderful. I want to commend everybody for that. And I thank everybody, and hopefully I'll be sitting up here after the election.
Bill?
Just two things. Maybe the press representative would thank Joe Shaw on our behalf for his guidance. And the other thing, I would like to suggest that we have at least a 6-month moratorium on debates. As much fun as they are.
They're a lot of fun.
Come on.
All right, great.
13 of those.
I know. So, but the debate, all four of you guys did fantastic up there. Do have to say that with the controversy that led up to the debate. I really have to commend our community for the voice that was heard on Monday night beforehand and during, and Raw's responses to the questions in reference to the phone call that they talk about. I was very proud to be associated with each one of you, and also very proud of the community up in on the Hill, and especially the young people and their response. And you know, it could have been taken one way, but they really took the high road. And it says a lot about the character of the people that are up there. So I congratulate you. I'm proud of you. And so there's an election, and next Friday from 9 to 9 at the Cultural Center. And I wish all four of you guys good luck, and encourage people to come out and exercise the right that people have given their lives for. So it's important. So thank you guys. So
We're going to miss you. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to miss you. You may not miss us, but we're going to miss you.
I'm gonna miss you. So
You already talked about the trip you planned.
I did.
First thing you were talking about the other night.
I know.
What do you leave, July 1?
I planned a trip because I knew that I didn't have to be back at a certain
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to be back in 2 weeks.
That's the most I saw you light up all evening. I was talking about that trip you just planned at the event we were at.
Yeah, so, well, I have to come back, and then my wife has to deal with me. She's going to be, so, I know. But, so we got the second public comment. Anyone from the public would like to speak? Chief, anything would you like to say about the summertime? I will have to say that we did have a meeting with the residents prior to Memorial Day, and the chief was there, John Foster, the building inspector,
There he is.
Dean McNamara, yeah, exactly, yeah, Dean McNamara, the fire marshal, and so Charlie keeps showing. And, we heard from the community in reference to the local restaurants and cabaret establishments around. We had a very strong presence out throughout Memorial Day weekend. They were in each one of the facilities, each one of the locations. I was very proud of our departments and the presence they had, and I think that they were able to have a positive impact on the quality of life of the people that live around those establishments. And that being said, I'd also like to thank the operators of those establishments too, working with our departments and the community and trying to be a good neighbor. So, which is very important. So, Chief, I don't know if you wanted to make any other comment in reference to that? No? Well said. So, we have a second public comment. Anyone from the public want to speak? Okay, forever hold their peace. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing personal matters involving village employees.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.